What if I told you your heart has an age, and you can make it younger? An aging heart becomes stiffer, pumps less efficiently, and loses its ability to respond to stress. Your max heart rate drops, stroke volume decreases, and the blood vessels stiffen. But here's the exciting part. Scientists have discovered a workout that can make your heart up to 20 years younger. It sounds too good to be true, but it's true. A 2018 randomized controlled trial took 60 healthy sedentary middle-aged people in their 50s, and they were randomly assigned to either 2 years of structured exercise training or a control group that was getting non-cardiovascular exercise, such as yoga, stretching, balance, and flexibility. Those who exercised saw significant improvements in their VO2 max, their fitness, and overall heart functioning. Their left ventricular chamber stiffness reduced by about 29%, and myocardial stiffness decreased by about 20% from baseline, whereas the control group saw no reduction and theirs even increased slightly. The reduction in left ventricular chamber stiffness corresponds to a 20-year reversal in the structure of the heart. They reverted back to the stiffness of a 35-year-old, which was 20 years younger than their chronological age of mid-50s. While it's just one marker, it's quite impressive, and if I was in my 50s, I would definitely want to get a heart of a 35-year-old. So what was their workout? For the first 1 to 2 months, they just acclimated to working out, and they did 3 times 30-minute steady-state cardio per week at 60 to 75% of their max heart rate. During months 3 to 10, they introduced high-intensity interval training, specifically the 4x4 Norwegian protocol. 4 times 4 minutes at 90 to 95% max heart rate, 3 minutes of active recovery between the intervals, and 1 to 2 sessions per week. By month 6, their weekly workout plan looked like this: 2 times interval sessions, the 4x4 HIIT, 1 time long base sessions over 60 minutes at the lower intensity, 1 moderate base session of 30 minutes, 2 strength training sessions targeting core and whole body, and 1 recovery/walking day. Months 11 to 24, they maintained their training load and reduced HIIT to 1 session per week. However, they continued aerobic training and resistance training. That's a pretty solid workout, and I think that everyone can do it. Those who exercised saw an 18% increase in their VO2 max from 29 milliliters per kilogram per minute to 34.4. Their aerobic capacity and overall fitness improved significantly, whereas the control group, who did no cardiovascular exercise, saw slight age-related decline in their VO2 max from 29.5 to 28.7, and their fitness decreased. An increase in VO2 max by 18% isn't that significant, especially after 2 years of training, and especially given the fact that their baseline where they started from was already quite low. But they definitely improved their fitness. It might be that because they were already in their 50s, their body just couldn't increase their VO2 max any further, because their VO2 max plateaued already in the middle of the study. However, they also just planned to maintain their fitness after the first year, and they did decrease the frequency of high-intensity interval training. What it means is that the longer you wait to increase your VO2 max, the harder it becomes, and the less gains you can expect. If you start doing VO2 max training in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, then you'll get far fewer results than someone who started doing it in their 30s. Their left ventricular end diastolic volume index, which reflects the functioning of the left ventricular of the heart, increased by 7.1 milliliters per square meter, whereas the control group saw a decrease of 1.0. So the exercise group saw much better heart functioning. Their resting heart rate also dropped by 4 to 6 beats per minute. They saw other improvements in their heart functioning as well. Effective arterial elastance reduced from 2.37 to 2.16, which means their heart had to work less hard. Arterial compliance increased from 1.07 to 1.29, which reflects the elasticity of the arteries. Stroke volume improved, and plasma volume and hemoglobin also improved. So overall, their heart functioning improved significantly, whereas the control group, who did just stretching and just mobility exercises, experienced aging of the heart. Their heart health got worse. So what's the magic sauce here? The key component is near maximum exercise, such as the 4x4 Norwegian protocol. It doesn't necessarily have to be that specific protocol, but the key component is taking your heart rate close to its maximum. That's the reason the people who did stretching and mobility didn't experience any benefits. They never raised their heart rate to close to its maximum. It means that to reverse your cardiac age, you need to be doing some form of high-intensity interval training. The Norwegian protocol utilizes 4 minutes at your absolute near peak heart rate, which depends on your age. A standard method to calculate your max heart rate is to subtract your age from 220. I'm 31, so my max heart rate based on my age would be 189. For me, the 90 to 95% of max heart rate is 170 to 179 beats per minute. The older you are, the lower your estimated max heart rate is going to be because of aging. But if you're fitter, then your max heart rate can also be higher than expected for your chronological age. It's essentially use it or lose it. If you don't take your heart rate close to its maximum every once in a while, then your max heart rate is just going to decrease, and it means that your heart functioning is getting worse. The reason this HIIT protocol reversed cardiac structure is because the hemodynamic load and mechanical stress from a hard beating heart stretches the left ventricular walls. It makes the heart work more efficiently and restructures it, making the heart less stiff. The authors of the study saw that the heart maintains its ability to reverse the stiffness up until the age of 65. After the age of 65, the collagen cross-linking becomes more permanent, and it becomes harder to reverse the cardiac stiffness. So the younger you start, the better it is. Now, the MVP of this study was the 4x4 Norwegian protocol, but arguably other forms of high-intensity interval training can be equally as effective. It's just that this 4x4 protocol is very commonly known and is also brutally effective. You have to keep doing intervals longer than 2 minutes, in my opinion, as this has been shown to be superior for increasing VO2 max compared to short intervals of just 30 seconds. So long intervals, at least 2 to 4 minutes, are the best ones that can restructure your heart to a more youthful state. However, this study also utilized low-intensity base training to improve overall aerobic fitness. This can be called Zone 2 training at a lower intensity. Zone 2 probably had less of a role in restructuring the heart and lowering cardiac age, but it's still important for building a solid aerobic base, so you should do both forms of training. Introducing Zone 2 and HIIT cardio to my workouts improved my own health and fitness tremendously, making me go from top 20% to top 1% of health. Check out my video about all the other things I did for this next.